Today I wanted to talk to you about that when you do this work of directly having a relationship with the spirit, with the soul, you will always have enough. You will always be looked after. But remember is that when you do this work of recovery of the feminine divine, because that's what we're talking about, the feminine in our society, in our Western culture, and in all cultures, really all religions around the world, has been suppressed now for thousands of years. And what that means is that when you are doing this work of recovery of the divine feminine, of the spirit, having a direct relationship with the spirit, don't expect that society is going to reward you for it. And that means that you will, even if you write brilliant books, you give brilliant talks, and you are popular, you will not be, you won't make a lot of money out of it. That's what I'm trying to say. But what happens is that you will find, if you do this work honestly, and you do this work from your heart, speaking from your heart, not holding back, helping others to recover the feminine divine, the direct relationship with the spirit, you will be looked after. The universe, the soul, the spirit will look after you so that you don't have to worry about constantly worrying about bills or not having enough money and so on. And I'll give you a few examples of what I mean. First is a friend of mine, old friend of mine, told me this story when she was younger. She was a single mom. She's very intuitive. She always worked with the tarot, and she always paid attention to her dreams and intuition. So she had the relationship with the spirit already. And this was when she was in her early 20s. She was a single mom, 2 kids. And she remembers the day when she started to worry about bills. She didn't know where the money is going to come to pay the bills. So she was walking past a news agency, and then she saw a sign, Lotto, Cross Lotto, and her inner voice just said, go and try playing a lotto. Now, she's never gambled, she's not that type of person, but she went in, she listened. She bought a ticket. On that night, the same night, she won just enough money to tie her over for the bills, this month's bills, plus a little bit more for food. True story. Another story I will relate to you is a friend of mine quite recently. She lost her job. And again, she was worried about not having enough money for bills and so on. And we were having a discussion. She was talking to me about this, and I said, look, you just have to trust the process. Just trust your own intuition. Trust the feminine, the spirit, and something will happen. Don't be afraid. Go and put yourself out there. You've got the experience, and you've got the, you're a mature person. You will find a job. There's something there that someone needs you already. But you have to be not afraid to approach people. Not be afraid. Don't feel discouraged by the fact that you've lost the job. And it was only maybe a week or 2 later, and she told me, yes, I just went. The first place I went, they needed someone. Just that day, they needed someone, and she got the job, and she still has the job. But she listened to her inner voice. She listened to the instructions coming from within. Don't hesitate. Go in here. Go and have a look. Someone out there is going to help you. So that's what happens when you are doing this work. When you are tuned in. When you have a direct relationship with the spirit looks after you. It becomes your companion for the rest of your life if you trust your inner voice. It's really not that difficult, but if you trust your inner voice, it will become your companion for the rest of your life. I'll tell you a story, one of my stories. I got heaps of stories I can tell you about this. But one time I was I think I was 20 years old then. I just moved from Adelaide to Melbourne and I needed a job. And I was staying with friends, and I already had 2 years experience working here in Adelaide in a certain profession. And I thought, well, it's a good idea to not try for something new, but use my own experience to see what happens. So I went out there looking. And one lead led to another lead, and eventually I got the place and address of a laboratory that did what I used to do, where I had the experience to work. I made an appointment to see the director of that laboratory, not the manager or the PR, people resources manager, or the supervisor of the section where I would work and all that. My inner voice said, before I made the appointment, my inner voice said, make sure you talk to the director, to the general manager, nobody else. So I made an appointment. I rang and I said, I want to make an appointment to the director, to speak with the director. They didn't even ask me who I was, that I wanted an appointment with them. So there I went the next day. I showed up. There was this gentleman with glasses, thin, chain smoking one after the other. He asked me my experience, where I was from, picked up the phone, rang someone. A door opens and another gentleman, taller, walks in. And the director says to him, this is so-and-so, he has so-and-so experience. I just gave him a job in your section. And the man stood there, eyes like dinner plates, mouth wide open. And I started the next day. And I worked there for two and a half years. And I became that manager in 2 years. I was 21, 22 years old. Yeah? Later I found out, when I got another job in Perth, in the same way, by coincidence like that, listening to my own inner voice. I found out later, because, when you work in the industry, there are rumors and people know people, that I would have, the manager of my section, the man with the mouth open, he said he would have never given me a job. He wouldn't. But I listened to my inner voice and I got it. So the purpose of the video today is to let you know that when you are in this relationship with the Spirit, when you listen to the inner voice, when you listen to your intuition, when you listen to dreams, and especially when you're doing this work like I'm doing now, communicating to people that there is the missing divine feminine in our society. And by the divine feminine I mean visions, dreams, intuitions. Intuition is the core of the divine feminine. She's got two parts, intuition and relationship. Relationship is the ability to relate to everything, the open heart. Intuition is the ability to relate to everything through the Spirit. The Spirit mediates, and that the relationship becomes deeper then. The core of the divine feminine is intuition, visions, dreams. So what I wanted to say is that when you have this deep relationship, when you communicate and try to help others to find this center, this communicating inner voice in you, you're not going to be famous, you're not going to be rich, because you're going against what society is trying to suppress. You're going, it doesn't want people to have that freedom to be able to just have one-on-one relationship with something that's going to guide them and help them for the rest of their life. The society wants you to be dependent on its answers, its what should we call, dialogue. You see, it doesn't want you to be free. But once you have this relationship with the Spirit, once you listen long enough and learn to trust it, you will become free. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be, you're going to reject your religion or your tradition. It doesn't mean anything like that. All religion is true in this sense that it has the same story of going inward and deeper inward to recover the Spirit, to recover this direct relationship with the Spirit, with God. Jesus did it. That's Christianity. Whether it's Catholicism or whether it's Orthodox, it all means the same thing. He went and he went to the Father. Us, this is why we celebrate Easter, when he was reborn and then he ascended to the Father. This is going inward and deeper into the center to recover the direct relationship with the Spirit, with God, and then to identify yourself as a God, as a Jesus, as a Christ. Buddha did the same thing. Muhammad did the same thing. Muhammad, he meditated in the cave and meditated, and then one day, bang, he ascends on his mystic vehicle, the Burak, to heaven, and there he negotiates with God, with Allah, that instead of 50 times a day, only 5 times a day, in Islam, people have to turn towards Mecca, towards the center, to be centered. Yeah. The difference with, for instance, between Muhammad and Jesus and the Buddha is that Muhammad went and saw God. He spoke to God. He didn't identify with God. He didn't go that far. He experienced the divine, but he didn't identify himself as the divine. Jesus did. He did say, "Whoever sees me sees the Father." Yeah. If you drink from my lips, you will become like me, and I will become you. See, he was divine. He was teaching others that you are also divine. That was his secret message. Jesus had 2 ways of teaching: public message and secret message, the mystic message. Buddha did the same thing. That's what nirvana is, in the center. You find that trance state, you find that intuition, and you don't need anyone's help. So that's what I'm trying to communicate to you today, that when you do this work honestly, and you're going to be an outsider if you do, because people don't like anyone that is not like them, or goes against what the society is teaching, what the norms of society are. So if you're going to teach this, and if you're going to talk about this honestly, from your own experiences, from your heart, from your intuition, you're not going to be a famous guru or write the best-selling book, because it goes against the grain of what society expects. Society rewards what society tells you to do. If you go against it, you're not going to get rewarded. All right, so that's it for me today. The phone is saying I'm running out of memory.